what do you think it was that kept you moving forward despite all of the losses for that many years?
Besides stupidity, uh, insanity, maybe. John, I'm
Surely
often
you had
asked that
hope, right?
question. I'm often asked that question because, there is a line. I tell people all the time, uh, you know, there are these platitudes that say, never quit. Quitters can never win. But in reality, John, there is an intelligent point for people to quit. And I believe that intelligent point is if your dream, if the pursuit of your dream begins to destroy, hurt, or harm the lives of others, it's time to stop.
Hmm.
You and your dream have no right to negatively affect the lives of others. So if by your pursuit or your continued pursuit, you begin to destroy something about or with another, that's life telling you it's time to take a break or it's time to put this aside. And so that was my constant reminder. That was my gauge. Am I hurting anyone by this except
Okay.
myself? And so every time I would get to a place where I'm like, shoot, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should be finishing school. But then I would bring myself back to this point, but I'm not hurting anybody. And I'm still young.
Yeah.
I can still bounce back from this.
Did you
And
have family at that time? Or
uh, uh, at the early years, no, but
okay.
in the middle, yes. So I had my first daughter was born,
Okay.
and but there was some light at that particular time. But I remember a moment of a transition in my developmental years, the dark years, I call them. And it was a moment where fear stopped gripping me the way it did before. And that moment came when I accepted being a bum, John. You see, I realized that what the words of my father ringing in my ear, that I was working with that was my motivation. I am going to not be a bum. My father kept saying, Oliver, if you keep up this work, you're almost living like a bum now. You're living from couch to couch, friend's house to friend's house. You can't pay your rent. You're getting evicted here and getting evicted there. That, Oliver, do you know what that's called, Oliver? That's called a bum, Oliver. And I just remember running away from that. I'm not a bum. I'm not a bum, figuratively speaking, right? I got to make this work because I'm not a bum. But there was this moment where it was just really bad, really dark. And I just said, you know what? What if I am a bum? Like, what if I do become a bum? Like, is that really the end of the world? Like, I could be a bum and I would I would prefer to be a bum in Miami. The weather's better. I swear to you, John, you think I'm playing. I thought this through. I thought
I'm
this out.
just
Like,
thinking
I
like
will just
Oliver the bum. I
I
can't
will
even picture
go.
this.
I will be a bum in Miami. I'll have a tin cup in one hand, a copy of the Wall Street Journal in the other.
Oh
I'll beg
dear.
for change. And I'm like, but and I'm being a tiny bit facetious, but check this out. There's this moment where I feel like there are so many people in the world that do things that they're not good at. It just gives them joy. Like, look at all the golfers in the world. They rip up the golf course every freaking weekend of their lives, and they do it until they're 85 years old. All right. And so it gives them joy. And so I said, so what? You know what? So what if I don't make it? So what if I never realize my dream? I love to do this. This is what I feel like I've been born to do. And if I have to get a part-time job every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, and do this for the rest of my life so that I can keep this dream alive, so that I can do what gives me the deepest joy in my life, I'm going to do it and I don't care. All right. And I used to tell my dad, you smoke and you don't want to smoke, and smoking is bad for you. And you've done it since you were 11 years old. So I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And I don't care. It gives me joy. And when I reached that point that I stopped caring about whether I made it or not, that's when like the like I don't know, trumpets start playing or something like that. I don't know. Like I started to see some light.
Yeah.
And I
That's awesome.
realized that that fear was what was holding a lot of things back,
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, it sounds like fear. It also sounds like, you hear about this all the time where you've got like these athletes that go to college and they're looking to play collegiate ball and they've got, maybe a parent that was a great athlete or something like that. So like there's all these great expectations and all this kind of stuff just like hammering you, just pressure, pressure, pressure. I think that's
Yeah.
some amazing psychological wisdom there that you shared. That's really cool.
Well, I appreciate
Now,
that.
I do have a second question though
Sure.
that from earlier. You spent a lot of time, obviously, 6 years. Now, granted, there was not a lot of repetition there because obviously you had to get a part-time job. You come back, you trade, get a part-time job. You get a, you check. You're testing these strategies, as it were. I'm assuming.
Sure.
And I'm wondering what were your biggest influences back when you were reading all those books in your mother's library? Were those the strategies that you learned from maybe some of the old technical titans, or like who were your underlying influences?
Well, from a technical point of view, the only thing that really I felt was worthwhile out there was Edwards and McGee. So
Okay.
that was sort of like my start reading Edwards and McGee. What was it? Technical analysis of the stock market or something like that. It's a classic. It was written back in the 1950s or something like that, and just basic technical concepts. And so I started off with them. I started off taking, these technical concepts from Edwards and McGee and experimenting with them. Of course, at that time, as I told you, you could only experiment with real funds. And so that was really the only thing. And then um, um, experimenting with an array of technical indicators, moving averages, oscillators, stochastics, the MACD, the CCI, the RSI, and all of these things. And um, I went on this just long journey of testing things to see if there was validity with real money, because everything sounded amazing on paper,
Right.
but very few things held up to true real money application. Very few things.
Now, were you studying charts and things like that in your time off when you were actually doing your part-time job?
Yes,
And
but remember, this is before the era of digital charting. So
that's
I
true.
subscribe to this service called Mansfield's Charting Service.
Heard of it.
And you would get this package on Saturday, big giant package. You get 1,500 New York Stock Exchange stock charts, and you would get 4,000 NASDAQ stock charts, right? And each page had like 50 charts on it. So your first subscription came with a free magnifying glass
Oh.
to actually look at each square in detail. And so I studied charting with that service.
Hmm.
And before there was digital charting services available, or at least that I was aware of or could afford or whatever at the time. And so, yeah, that was a very important service to me at the time. And as as things became a little more sophisticated and other forms of technology became available, like charting from your computer and things of that nature, they became obviously extraordinarily important to me. And so
That's
it was I always say that my true professional career started in 1986 when I got my first real Wall Street trading job in December 6th of 1986.
okay.
And that's when the whole professional side of my journey toward that ever elusive goal of being a master trader really
Yeah.
began. So I always look at the dark. I don't look at the dark years as really having started, it was more like the incubation years, sort of like, the 9 months in the womb, and you
Yeah.
really consider yourself born, right? Not at conception, but at actual birth. So I just believe that my sort of actual birth was
In
happened more in
86.
the professional, right? In the
Got
mid
it.
to late 1980s. So
So
starting in 81 and 81 and stepping my first having my first foray into the professional trading arena in 86, almost 87, so December of 86.
yeah. And I mean, we don't have to go into too much depth on, your early career if you don't want to. But I mean, was that with a prop firm or a hedge fund? Like
Yeah,
what?
no, it's a
Maybe.
major Wall Street firm, Kidder Peabody at the time,
Okay.
and I learned a great deal. For the first 6 months, I wasn't allowed to speak.
Okay.
Literally, no talking. I was just an observer. The firm was broken down onto multiple floors of traders, and each floor had maybe, I don't know, like 200 traders, 150 traders, and they were all on desks. So every desk was 8 traders, all right, more or less 8 traders. And I was assigned to a desk. So there were 7 traders. There were 8 of us in total, 7 other traders other than I was. Every desk had a head trader. That head trader got an override on all of our trading. And when the head trader felt that I was ready to actually start dabbling with a portion of the desk's portion of the firm capital, so every desk had a certain portion of the firm's capital to trade. Um, that's when he gave me my shot at it, and it was not good in the beginning. It wasn't. I mean, I started out really bad, as most people do. I'd have to say, but so it was a rough, I would say it was a rough 1.5 initial month period. Just getting used to trading size at that level, which I hadn't traded before.
Mhm.
So I think it was more of me getting acclimated to size because my technical skill was there.